Hello guys, welcome back. You're listening to Essex Hydra and this is going to be our character customization video. For all of you guys who don't have the game yet, who are following it closely, this is going to outline all of the ways in which we can customize our character from a gameplay point of view. For those of you that do have the game, we're going to be covering this in some detail, so there might be a few tips specifically around the power level system that you might find useful. Before we get started with the video though, remember to smash the subscribe button, click that little bell, that way you can get notifications and stay up to date with any new features in the game.
Do it! Yeah. Yes, you can! Yeah. Just do it!
Right, so when we start the game up and we first come to create a character, from the very beginning we're faced with three choices as to what we can select, but I would emphasise here, these are not subclasses. These are simply item choices, so even though the names are very unique, it simply reflects the gear that your character starts with, nothing more. They share the same skills, they can equip the same equipment, there is nothing between them other than their starting gear. So pick whatever you fancy playing and crack on into the game. And here we have a character I made earlier. This chap is level 17 already. What we'll do is we'll bring up his character screen and we'll show you through and run you through the base stats of him and explain to you what we can do to make this guy feel more like us. So starting in the left hand side, we have three core attributes that we can place stat points into. These are warfare, toughness and virtue. Placing points into warfare will give you a bonus to melee and range damage for each point invested, and as well as that, what you'll notice if I put lots and lots of points in, we actually hit a couple of milestones along this route which give us increased perks or an additional effect. So we have plus 25 damage bonus versus enemies in cover, and then we have, or bonus to the cover I would presume, and we have 5% bonus to deflection. If we move on to the other ones, we have toughness giving you a bonus hit points and suppression per point invested. If we put a load of points in that, we can see the first milestone is 10% to healing. This is essentially the tanky tree. As we get further down, you get other damage mitigation bonuses, extra fortitude, heat resistance, so you're basically going to become more of a tanky character. And finally we have virtue, which gives you a bonus to your focus value, which is to say the frequency in which you can use your armor ability. We'll cover those later, as well as suppression damage bonus, and lowering enemy suppression allows you to stun them far more easily. So loosely speaking, this is the utility build of the tree. We have bonuses to suppression resist, warp resist as well, max HP, suppression resist. This is a little bit more utility, but it also covers a little bit of tankiness. Now that's the attributes covered. Moving on from here, to further customize our character, you'll notice we have 3 perk slots. I'd suggest you check out the perk video to see the exact and full list of perks. We won't have time to do it in this video, but these are extra effects that change your gameplay quite dramatically. You'll get these after hitting your maximum level, which is level 20. You can see we're nearly there with this character, and they'll include things like gaining 100% extra HP 5 but reducing your healing innoculator item. And again, things that will make your character feel very much more personalised. You'll have to grind to unlock these, but it's very, very immersive. A quick shout out here as well to the stats that we have over on the right hand side. These are very standard and generic stats to any MMO or RPG player. Deflect is parry, we have warp resist, which is kind of like saying elemental resist. Heat resist is elemental weapon resist. Warp resist, sorry, is more elemental ability resist, so basically psychic powers. We have all the other usual stuff like bonus to melee, bonus to ranged, critical chance, critical strength, which is critical multiplier, etc, etc. You'll notice on here there's a lot of 0 percentages. That's because some of these are still a little bit buggy, but this is really where you'll be turning to see how your character stats are looking. Moving on now, we have a system very unique to Inquisitor which really needs its own explanation. We have the attack power level and defense level. I'm going to give this, although it's not really customization, its own section because it does need to be explained to new players to the game. So the power level, it's used in calculations to determine your damage versus opponents and their damage versus you. That is to say, if I'm level 2 and I go in a level 3 mission, I will have a harder time, and if I'm level 2 and go in a level 4 4 mission, I will have an even harder time. Not because the enemies have higher base stats, but because the level difference means that it will inherently make me do less damage and them do more damage to me. So really this is best summarized as being part of a difficulty setting. So if I want to go on harder missions or easier missions, I can choose a level above mine or below mine in which to compete. What you'll notice about the levels is as you get higher up in the gear, you'll notice this character has level 2 with attack power. That's because I've got very good weaponry, and that's allowed me to progress to the next rank. Once you've progressed to the next rank, then the loot tables that you go on missions for will then be based on that level. So once I've hit level 2, I can then do any mission and I will get level 2 loot table items. What doesn't happen in this game, and many people get confused with this, if you go on a level 3 mission as a level 2, you won't get level 3 drops. That's not how it works. That's the difficulty setting there. But once I achieve level 2 with the item stats that I have, then the shop, my crafting, and any mission I go on, I will get level 2 drops. Really what this does in the game is it makes you get a complete set of gear before progressing to the next rank, and then you move on and build another set of gear and repeat. Some of you might be saying, whoa, this sounds a little bit hey, but all the same time you are still gaining experience and stats with your character elsewhere. This is just like a separate leveling system within the game. So you have your core character with his skills, his attribute points. These will progress as you gain experience, but separate to the experience you will also have your power level, which really just reflects the difficulty you've been playing at and gives you a reason to keep on progressing through the levels and keep on grinding for new gear and new challenges. We'll have to see what happens in the late game to make this a little bit more immersive, but this is a system quite unique and pretty interesting. Let's move on to the next tab now. Here we have skills. Now what I'd suggest if you're new to the game is you'll notice these have some quite confusing names like shock tactics, survival training, sniper training. Just look on the left hand side, it says in brackets what the thing does. Critical skills, HP skills, close combat skills, it's all very self-explanatory if you look on the left. And what you'll see in each tab is you have a number of different slots. You can start from the outside and work your way in any direction. And the B, I don't know what it stands for, we'll say it stands for basic. It gives you an extra stat of sorts. It'll give you a slight bonus to something that will appear on your character sheet most likely. E gives you an effect of sorts. It will give you a bonus of something. It will do extra damage when certain criteria are met. It's going to actually start to shape how the character plays a little bit more, like making you do more damage when you're in cover or do more damage to enemies in cover, some form of multiplier like that. And then we have our M, which is sort of the unique one to each skill, and this will only be unlocked after you've filled in all of the B's and E's elsewhere too. I think it's safe to say the BEM system is placeholder, but that's absolutely fine. So here we have a unique bonus for the shock tactics, which is granting a stacking 1% damage bonus to each debilitating effect on the target, which is quite useful if you're playing co-op and they're putting lots of different effects on people. Kind of handy, kind of interesting, not actually one of the better ones, but each of these combat trees, and there is a lot of them, has their own unique flavour. So here you can actually get 1 point per level. So I've got a total of 17 points so far invested into my character. And the combat, or rather your character level, is capped at 20. However, after you hit 20, you do carry on levelling up in terms of account level, and this gives you extra abilities points or extra skill points. So even though the max level for this game is 20, you do carry on leveling afterwards. Now many of you will ask, well what's the point in that? Why do I carry on? Why have the cap so low? Well, this means you start getting bonuses for other characters you want to make. So you could make a new character and have some bonuses already there from your account level, which will make the leveling process slightly less grueling. This is a system really common within ARPGs. Now, final tab, we have heroic deeds. These are achievements of sorts within the game. You'll notice that the perks themselves have to be unlocked via various challenges, which is a nice feature. It means that you just don't unlock them automatically, you have to work for them, and there's going to be more than 6 perks. Let's be realistic here, the devs have already said this, so some of these challenges may be pretty rough and tough, but you're going to get rewarded in other ways. Having to do quests to get skills is a really nice feature. I really like it. I remember that from Guild Wars, I think. Now we also get bonus attribute points, so we can start investing in more than one tree by doing other challenges elsewhere. You'll notice here we have a mixture of attribute points that we can get, +1 for each, or maybe it just shoves one straight into the directory. So some of these are pre-allocated, some of them are just generic attribute points that we could spend elsewhere. So we get extra skill points from our character level and then from our account level, and then we get extra attribute points, which is the warfare, etc. and virtue. We get extra points for that from doing these additional challenges. And that concludes our current character customization thus far in the game. In summary, we have attribute points we can spend towards going damage, tank or utility. We have perks that we can get once we hit max level that we can use to make our gameplay more unique and individual. Again, check out the perk video to see what they are. Then we have our gear, which really determines what level or tier our character is at and capable of. Not character customization, I know, but character progression needs its own mention though. We also have skills which will gain once per level and then further per account level, and account levels are quite slow to grind, mind you, so there is incentive to pump quite a few hours into this. And then as well as that, we also have a means of accessing the attribute points via additional challenges as well as additional perks per additional challenge. So lots and lots of stuff to keep us busy in this game. Hopefully you find these quite tantalizing and look forward to playing the game. I know I've had loads of fun thus far. If you've got any questions for me, leave them in the comments. I'll happily answer any question you've got about the alpha. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed the video. You've been listening to Hydra. Remember to smash the subscribe button. I'll see you next time.